Okay, so congratulations, Aditya.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, so each year I do this, right? All the students with law, they ask the same question almost. Okay,
Yes,
so Aditya, first, tell me about yourself, right? You are a graduate of law from which college, right? How much rank that you secured, 10, 12, etc. Brief introduction about yourself.
yes, sir. I am Aditya Pratap Singh. I am from Raebareli, Uttar Pradesh. I did my schooling from Barabanki, a nearby district. Thereafter, I went on to pursue law from the West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences, from which I graduated last year. And thereafter, I wrote the civil services exam, in which I have scored rank 341.
Okay, so you're also from a very good college, right? Obviously, law of the marks are not out yet, but I'm very sure you will get a very good marks. Okay, so
Thank you.
let us start with the first question itself. That how did you, as you graduated last year itself, right? So you must have started preparing the fourth and fifth year itself, right? So how did you,
Yes, sir.
sort of assimilate that law course that you were going through and the law optional? How did you sort of approach it?
Sir, fortunately for us, I started preparing right after the lockdown. So time was not a problem because online college was not very hectic. So starting June of 2020, I started preparing gradually. Now, insofar as assimilation is concerned, I think some subjects have repetition, but they were primarily in first, second, and third year. And nobody really studies that seriously in college. So for CSE, it was starting from scratch, although I did have basic understanding. So that is it.
Achha, that is. Uh, you are saying that in first, second, third year people are not serious, right? So they start from fourth and fifth year itself. And most of the
Yes, sir.
courses most of the syllabus that we have, the topics they are already taught in first to third year, right?
Yes,
Fourth
sir.
exam, mostly there are subjects which are sort of more detailed or sort of elective in nature, right? Not
Yes,
part
sir.
of the law syllabus. Okay, okay. So
Yes.
people who want to prepare along with the college, they should start with second, third year itself, right? That is much better choice, right?
Yes, sir. They should
Some of
focus
large
on these
parameters,
foundational subjects.
focus on the parts. Understood, understood. Okay. Now let us start with subject by subject and be very detailed, right, in your answer that how did you tackle it. Okay, so let us
Yes, sir.
start with the constitutional law. How did you study the constitutional law? What were the resources and what approach did you take?
Yes, sir. Sir, for constitutional law, in fact, my approach was quite similar for all the subjects. So I had some coaching notes and I used Dukki. And I used a combination of both of these to take my own short notes. And I made very concise notes around 50 pages for each subject so that revision is easier. And that was my basic strategy across all subjects. Now, for some specific topics, you will have to Google, for instance, e-contracts or these miscellaneous topics. But other than that, basic cookies and some coaching material combined would suffice.
I think the C contract part also have given some notes, right, with regard to that CLD
Yes,
contract.
sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. You sent these
No, sir.
notes.
Okay. Now, what about this international law? Obviously, the paper was quite easy and paper is very repetitive, right? So, how do you make that difference, right? I always keep saying that you have to write something extra, something extra. So, how did you, sort of made that something extra? What did you put in your answers?
So I'm not sure if I was able to put anything special that would reflect only when I get the marks.
Obviously, the marks
But
is not up here. Only the marks will come, then you will
yes,
get this. Yes. But still,
sir. But
how do you go about it?
my approach was always to keep the basic reading material fully in my head. So that is why starting from bookies, basic material. And then I think making your answer different comes about in writing headings and segregating your points in an efficient manner. So writing style matters a lot there. And efficient use of headings will make your answers twice as good as any other answer. So that is the key to law option answer writing.
Keep telling
Also,
structuring is important. The structuring is important. Yeah, yeah.
yes, sir, structuring is
And
the key.
what else?
And other than that, as we've discussed, most questions are repeated, and therefore the basic material will suffice. 70 to 75% of the question paper will be repeated. So the, focus on basic material, write good answers with structuring, and that will be the key.
Okay. Now, what about the Contract Act? Because normally there are certain topics which is a syllabus. The semester whole syllabus in itself, right? People read that whole semester, that one topic. So, how did you handle it? For example, negotiable instrument. For example, contract of agency partnership, right? People study in one semester the Partnership Act, right? But here it is one topic. So how did you handle them? Because that is sometimes
Yes, sir.
people, students feel like that syllabus is very vast. A lot of topics are there, but obviously that is not the case.
Yes,
But
sir.
from your point of view, how did you tackle it?
So for these miscellaneous acts such as sale of goods act, negotiation, etc., I use the bare act to get the feel of the entire act, to get the essence of it. And then based on the previous year questions, most of the questions are again,
Repeat.
like other parts of the question paper, repeated. And therefore, I created model answers for the often repeated questions. And those form the basic of this preparation. And I would like to suggest that people should not focus very much on these miscellaneous topics, because if you prepare the base material very well, then I think only the section 2 of paper 2 is becomes difficult. But if you have a general grasp of the thing using the bare act and the previous year questions, then you will be able to sail through, provided you ace the constitutional law, PIL, and part 1 of paper 2.
So that is sufficient in your opinion.
Yes, sir.
And other thing also, that similarity that you talked about, like for example, suppose you study, agent and agency, the principal and the agent
Yes, sir.
relationship. The same thing applies with regard to the partners and relationship between them, right? Access to the books
Yes,
of
sir.
account, right? Agent of each other,
Yes,
etc.
sir.
Some things are repetitive. You have to simply remember the sections are different. That's it.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that way you can. That's very good. Okay, so what about this tort and crime? How did you handle it? First, let us talk about crime. Obviously, tort is much more smaller. How did you go about crime, especially the topics which are little bit dynamic? I mean, mostly it is static,
Yes.
but sometimes something
Yes,
new
sir.
comes up like death sentence or different type of punishment, etc. How did you handle it?
Yes, sir. So for the basic part that does not change the static part of law of crimes, any basic note would suffice. Again, focus on previous year questions. And in law of crimes, the legal maxims become very important because, for instance, this time also a very basic question of mens rea was asked. Now you have all your basic legal maxims, write them, they'll fetch you marks. And with respect to the contemporary aspect, I got notes from de facto law also regarding conclusion and introduction, especially and these things. So you can utilize the recent cases. And if you put recent cases, that's advisable. But if you do not have time, I think
That's all
just
right.
focusing on the basis will also do.
How many current affair cases that you put on? I mean, the current affair that we are supplying or the current affair that we supplied before means, did you put in some of them or simply relied on the traditional cases itself?
Sir, I did only some cases in constitutional law because that is very contemporary in nature. But I did not have time, so I could not use them. But it is advisable to put recent cases.
Recent cases also. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, since you are, I mean, you have just, I think, last year you graduated, right? So you
Yes, sir.
must not be very old, right? You must be, what's your age?
23 years.
But 23 years, right? So you're quite young, right? So
Yes, sir.
those who want to crack it in the first attempt, right? What I mean, it's your first attempt also, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I saw your DAP also. Yes. So those
Yes.
who want to crack in the first attempt, right? What advice would you give to them? Be very
Start
comprehensive
early.
because people generally want to crack in first attempt itself. Yes.
Yes, sir. The key is to start early. Like I said, I started in 2020, so 2 years before prelims, and I think 2 years of time is sufficient. So if you start in fourth year, of course, you just have to be consistent. You do not have to get 8 hours every day. Just 4 hours of studies at the starting, and then slowly keep ramping up. And consistency and starting early, these are the key to cracking in the first attempt.
Okay. Now, what's your thought process with regard to how much this peer group sort of helps you? Because this year also, I think there are three more candidates from I mean, your college itself who have qualified. Right? So this sort of whole the college, the peer group, or the people around
Yes,
you, if they are preparing, does it
yes, sir.
help, or you prepare in isolation, or did you have any peer group in that sense? Okay, so I was asking that. What about the peer group? Do you think that in college having a peer group or the people around you who are preparing would help, or a lone wolf is sufficient?
Sir, a peer group is very instrumental in preparation. I also had a person with whom I prepared, and I think a small group, having just one or two more people, not creating a crowd, so that you can coordinate well and you can exchange answers and So having dedicated one or two more people is really helpful in preparation.
So it is more than sufficient, right? Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, now this first time feedback that you have already given. Now, any people, preparing for 4 5 times, they get sort of frustrated, right? So, any advice for them that how to sort of go through that particular phase? I know you haven't gone through that phase, but still, what
Yes.
do you think that they should think about? I mean, what did you used to think about?
Sir, I think looking back at your own failures and faults and improving upon them is the key. So even in this attempt, although I have got a rank, there were certain areas that I can see where I could have improved. And based on the mark sheet, I'll get to know more areas where I could have improved. So I think keeping the feedback loop active at every moment and
That will help.
improvising. On top of that, I think if there is some creating a support group around you, again, having some peers who support you in this preparation, who motivate you, who push you to continue. That becomes very important in addition to these technical aspects of improving continuously. So
The
emotional support from
mental
people
part is also
and
very important.
yes, sir, a healthy mix of both will enable one to
So will you
fulfill.
appear again for the prelims this year, or it's all right? Okay, now you got the IPS. Now nothing required.
Sir, I'll have to assess the cardio that I'll get the service because I am at the edge of the point where I can get either IAS or IPS. So, and I like both, really like both the services. So I think I might
IPS you
not
will
appear.
definitely get on your rank. IPS you will get, but IAS it is a little bit tough. Yeah.
So my
Okay,
father
so,
was a
so you will
constable
assess
in the
that if you
police.
get IAS, then no problem, no need to study for that. But if you don't get, then you might.
So even in IPS, especially if I get home cadre, then I will not appear again. My father was a constable in UP police, so I like the background of police and I would like to work for law and order improvement.
If your father would have
So,
been there, he must have been quite proud, right? Really, very, very proud moment.
so
So,
unfortunately, is no more, but certainly my mother and our family is very
very,
proud.
very, very congratulations again, and definitely, and I don't know what is the condition for with regard to your service allotment, etc. But if you get UP, home card, then you won't appear. Otherwise, you will try appear again. So this exam
Yes.
that prelim that going on Sunday, are you appearing for that? I mean, have you decided?
Sir, I'll check what is the card allotment and all of these things, and based on that, I will
Then
decide.
only. Okay, that's all. Just I was asking. Okay, so
Yes.
that will conclude our discussion. Any final thing that you want to say? I mean, let the marks sheet come. Obviously, then we will also assess that what
Yes,
was the
sir.
mark. But still, any sort of ज्ञान 2 3 लाइन में कि भाई ये कर लो हो जाएगा.
Sir, I would just say that keep your mind open. Now, we have mostly talked about law optional, but so far as I can guess, my essay was good. Now, I used to listen to a lot of podcasts, and there was a podcast called Philosophize This, in which this quote was there, don't step into the same river twice. And I remember that it was from Heraclitus. And therefore, I could write a good essay. And these things, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube a lot, they helped me a lot in writing good examples and framing my sentences better. So keep doing these things. Open your mind because focusing just on the basic books, yes, it will form your foundations. But I think writing good answers requires an edge of bringing better examples, of framing answers in a better manner, which you learn when you look at diverse things. So keep your mind open. These are also sources of enjoyment. So if you listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, you'll also refresh your mind and broaden your horizons and improve your answer writing and all other skills.
Be very aware, and then this podcast that you tell, you definitely send me, right? I will put down the link for the people that help
Yes,
in
sir.
essay and etc. also, right? So that is something very remarkable. That's good. Okay,
Yes,
so let us wind it up, and whenever you are traveling to Delhi, do come and meet with me. Okay, we will have further
yes,
discussion, right? And hopefully, we will go to the very detail with regard to the other subjects also, right? That how did you went over? Okay,
yes, yes, sir.
okay. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.